Have you ever wondered what drives a person to reject absolute power? Today, you will discover the fascinating story of a man who, 3 times, refused to be the Roman emperor. Imagine being faced with the offer of ruling the largest empire in the ancient world and saying no. What would be the weight of such a decision? What were the motivations behind this surprising choice? In this journey, we will explore the internal dilemmas, the personal conflicts, and the deep reasons that led to this refusal. Perhaps, like many of us, he felt the pressure of expectations, the fear of failure, or the desire to keep his integrity intact. His story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most difficult decisions are the ones that define who we really are. Get ready for a gripping narrative that will not only bring a new understanding of the past, but also provide valuable insights into our own lives. After all, we all face choices that challenge our courage and our essence. Let's unravel the secrets of this incredible saga together and discover how to find the strength to do what is right, even when it seems impossible. And let's start the journey of our video, but first check if you're already subscribed, and if you're not, don't forget to subscribe. Because on this channel, I'm going to bring you several exciting stories like this every week, and you can't miss any of them. Did you know that a Roman general refused to be emperor not once, but 3 times? We're talking about Tiberius Claudius Pompeianus, a very important figure in ancient Rome. He was born in Antioch, Syria, a long time ago, at the beginning of the 1st century after Christ. Pompeianus came from a simple family with humble roots. His father was part of the equestrian order, a social class just below the senatorial elite. However, through hard work and dedication, Pompeianus' father managed to obtain Roman citizenship for him during the reign of Emperor Claudius. This achievement opened many doors for the family and enabled Pompeiano to follow a successful path. Pompeiano's real rise began during the Roman-Parthian War, which took place between 161 and 166 BC. At the time, Pompeiano was about 35 years old and under the command of Emperor Lucius Verus, who ruled jointly with Marcus Aurelius. The war was a period of great turmoil and conflict, and Pompeianus stood out with his skill and bravery on the battlefield. He demonstrated exceptional leadership and strategic intelligence that did not go unnoticed. During one of the most intense battles, Pompeianus led his troops with unwavering courage. Under a barrage of enemy arrows, he held the front line firm, inspiring his men to fight with greater vigor. His dexterity and command led to several crucial victories, solidifying his reputation as one of Rome's best generals. As a reward for his achievements, he was promoted to senator, a position of great prestige and influence. In 162, Pompeianus became consul, one of the highest positions in the Roman government. His journey from humble origins to one of the highest positions in the empire is testimony to his ability, determination, and the respect he earned among his peers. Even when he had the opportunity to become emperor, he refused the title 3 times, perhaps recognizing the complexities and dangers that came with absolute power. This decision to refuse the imperial throne 3 times is one of the many intriguing facets of Tiberius Claudius Pompeianus, a man who left an indelible mark on the history of Rome with his integrity, courage, and skill. Can you imagine how respected he was? Even so, he refused to be emperor 3 times. Having won the trust of Marcus Aurelius, Pompeianus was appointed military governor of Pannonia Inferior. After the Parthian campaign, between 164 and 168, he faced a major challenge, a Lombard invasion followed by an even greater threat from the tribe of the Marcomanes. The victory over the Lombards made Pompeianus stand out as a military leader, and he quickly became one of Marcus Aurelius' closest advisors. In 169, Lucius Verus, the co-emperor, became very ill and died, leaving Marcus Aurelius' daughter Lucilla a widow. You may remember her from the movie Gladiator. Lucilla, being the emperor's daughter and still young at just 21, was part of a marriage arranged by her father. Marcus Aurelius decided to marry his daughter off to Pompeianus, who at the time had already been consul twice. This marriage solidified Pompeianus' position and connected him to the Nerva-Antonine dynasty. Marcus Aurelius trusted Pompeianus so much that he even offered him the title of Caesar and heir to the throne. But, surprisingly, Pompeianus refused the offer, preferring to continue serving as a general. Imagine the scene. Pompeianus, after a tense meeting in the imperial palace, is summoned by Marcus Aurelius for a private conversation. The emperor, with his grave but serene countenance, talks about the challenges ahead and the need for a strong and reliable leader to continue his legacy. He offers Pompeianus the title of Caesar, one of the highest possible honors. Pompeiano, a man of principle and aware of the weight of absolute power, thanks him deeply, but with a resolute look on his face, refuses the title. He explains that his loyalty lies on the battlefield, leading and protecting Rome alongside his soldiers. This refusal only increased the respect and admiration that everyone had for Pompeianus. He was seen as a true defender of Rome, someone who put the good of the empire before his personal ambitions. His humility and unwavering dedication became legendary. Even after Marcus Aurelius' death, Pompeianus remained a figure of great influence and respect, always ready to serve his empire with honor and integrity. This part of the story reminds us very much of the scene in the movie Gladiator when Marcus Aurelius offers Maximus the imperial throne. In fact, this was the first of 3 times that Pompeianus refused to be emperor. About 10 years later, in 180 AD, Marcus Aurelius died and Commodus, who was only 18 at the time, took the throne. Pompeianus, as the experienced general he was, tried to advise Commodus to remain on the Danube border until he had completed the conquest of the Marcomanes, as Marcus Aurelius had wanted. Imagine the scene. Pompeianus, a battle-hardened veteran, in front of the young and impetuous Commodus, trying to pass on the wisdom accumulated in years of military service. But the young emperor, more interested in the glories and luxuries of Rome, had little interest in continuing the war and decided to make a peace agreement with the Marcomanes, returning to Rome in the fall of 180. 2 years later, Commodus faced a conspiracy led by his own sister, Lucilla. The assassination attempt failed, resulting in the execution of Lucilla and the other conspirators. Imagine the tension in the air when the plot was uncovered, the blood betrayal at the heart of the empire. As there was no proof of Pompeiano's participation in the conspiracy, his life was spared. After this plot, he decided to retire from public life, citing old age and sight problems. His decision was motivated not only by the desire to avoid reprisals, but also by the growing political instability in Rome. So Pompeianus took refuge in his lands in Italy, far from the intrigues of imperial power. With the death of Commodus in 192, Pompeianus returned to Rome and resumed his post in the Senate. Imagine Pompeianus returning to Rome, an older man, but still with the dignity and strength of character that had always defined him, walking the streets of the Eternal City. At that moment, Pertinax, who was urban prefect, offered the imperial throne to Pompeianus. It was a choice that could have changed the course of Roman history. However, Pompeianus, with his remarkable political sagacity, surprised everyone by refusing the offer a second time, resisting the temptation of power. Taking advantage of the power vacuum, Pertinax agreed to be proclaimed emperor, but just 87 days later, he was killed by the Praetorian Guard. Pompeianus watched all this with the perspective of someone who had seen the rise and fall of many. His decision to remain on the fringes of imperial power, even when he had the chance to be supreme leader, speaks volumes about his character. He valued the stability of Rome more than his own ambitions, preferring to serve in a way that could make the most difference. Thus, Pompeianus remains an admirable and complex figure in the history of Rome, an example of integrity and wisdom in times of great turmoil. It was then that Didius Julianus, an ambitious senator, managed to bribe the Praetorians to ascend the throne. However, he faced challenges in gaining the support of the army troops and began to fear that he would suffer the same fate as Pertinax. Fearing for his life, Julian approached Pompeianus with a proposal that he become co-emperor. For the third time, Pompeianus refused the offer, citing his advanced age and sight problems. This, of course, left Julian even more vulnerable. Imagine the scene. Pompeianus, now in his final years, sitting in his quiet villa, is visited by imperial emissaries bringing the proposal from Didius Julianus. He listens patiently, his eyes still showing the sparkle of a sharp mind despite his age. With a firm and serene voice, he once again refuses the burden of imperial power, knowing full well the consequences and dangers surrounding the throne. On June 1st, 193, the senators summoned the soldiers to enter the imperial palace and eliminate Dicio Julianus. In this way, Pompeiano, with his wisdom, foresaw instability and political chaos in Rome and preferred to remain out of the limelight, living the rest of his life in tranquility. He spent his last years away from the intrigue and turmoil he had so often witnessed, perhaps reflecting on the turbulent times and the choices he made to preserve his integrity and peace of mind. So, did you know this general's story? Let us know in the comments. And in this other video here, I talk more about Pertinax's story. It's interesting how he tried to change things in Rome, but ended up not succeeding. The story of Tiberius Claudius Pompeius is a fascinating example of integrity and wisdom in times of political turmoil. Refusing to be emperor 3 times, even when the temptation of power was enormous, Pompeianus chose to live a life far from the intrigues and dangers of the Roman throne. His career, marked by military victories and a prudent withdrawal from public life, shows the importance of following one's values and avoiding the traps of power. Pompeiano teaches us that sometimes true greatness lies in knowing when to step back. Imagine a man who, even when faced with the opportunity to rule the greatest empire in the ancient world, chooses the peace and security of a simpler life. His decision to step back from imperial power at a time of great political instability not only preserved his life, but also cemented his legacy as a wise and prudent leader. This story is a powerful reminder that true power lies not only in leading, but in knowing when it is best not to. Pompeianus preferred to maintain his integrity and serve Rome in other ways, avoiding the dangers and corruptions that often accompanied the imperial throne. He lived the rest of his life in tranquility, far from the political intrigues he had witnessed so many times. So, did you know the story of this general? Let us know in the comments what you thought of this incredible story, and if you want to know more about other historical figures, check out the other videos on the channel.